Hello chess lovers, Suran here, and in this video I want to share with you a little known but a fantastic game played in 1990 in Singapore at World Championship Under 18. With the white pieces playing Ivan Markovic and his opponent is Arnaud Payen. Markovic opened up with e4, to which Payen responded with Sicilian defense. Knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6. Black is going for dragon variation, a very sharp opening which leads to double-edged positions and requires a gigantic theoretical knowledge. Queen d2, knight c6, bishop c4. White is going for Yugoslav attack with bishop c4. Bishop d7, h4, h5, stopping the h-pawn's further advance, and finally white castled queenside. Rook c8, bishop b3, moving away the bishop from the dangerous c-file, knight e5, bishop g5. Other alternatives are bishop h6 or king b1 or g4. In the game we see bishop g5, rook c5. Black is not only preparing b5, but also from the fifth rank the rook can be very useful when organizing the defense. g4. At the cost of sacrificing a pawn, white wants to blow apart black's position. And in typical positions, no one counts pawns or pieces, you know. Let's see what's going to happen next. H takes g4, f4, knight c4, queen e2. In this case, when you have no bishop on e3, there is no need to capture on c4, and leaving this defensive piece on b3 is very useful, you know. Later this can even serve as a nice attacking piece. Right now we have a target on c4 and black played b5. 5 years later this position also occurred in a game played between Ivanchuk and Topalov, and in here Topalov proceeded with queen c8. That was a very nice game, and very quickly Topalov managed to prevail over Ivanchuk, and then he went for an exchange sacrifice, and only after it takes d5 he played b5. But in this case, after queen e2 we see b5 straight away, which is also a strong continuation. f5. Very often we can see that white is going for a breakthrough by pushing forward the h-pawn, but using the f-pawn as a destructive weapon is also very common in Yugoslav attack. G takes f5. According to Stockfish, knight h5 gives black's position more solidity. If queen takes g4, then queen e8, unpinning the pawn and preparing e6. But in the game to f5, black played g takes f5. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, e takes f5, and rook takes f5. Black is going for an exchange sacrifice, but winning it is not that good, because in that case, once black is managing to save this pawn, black has a very solid position. These bishops look very monstrous, you know. That's why to rook takes f5, white answered with queen takes g4 check. And in here, black covered his king and created a double attack. Yeah, white queen is attacked not by the rook but also by the bishop, and this was also one of the ideas hidden behind rook takes f5 move. But at this point, instead of thinking about moving away his queen, yes, I know, dear chess lovers, in a blink of a second you figured out white's next move. Yes, instead of thinking about making a chicken move like queen f4, after which black has a very solid position, white went for a queen sacrifice, and this is what we all love to see. H takes g5, bishop takes g4. Go on, buddy, don't you want to accept that queen sacrifice? What's happening? Finally, bishop takes g4 is on the board, and g takes f6. There it goes, white pawn keeps on slicing through black's army. And now at this point, black has to be very careful, you know. E takes f6 was made in the game, but if we move like bishop takes d1, then white has this knight c6 move, after which you are forced to give up your queen. That's why at this point we have e takes f6 and rook dg1 is on the board, attacking the bishop. f5, black is protecting it, at the same time is opening up the queen's diagonal. And yeah, this is a very venomous threat. Knight takes f5 is not good because of queen g5 check. That's why after f5 we see rook h5, taking under control this essential g5 square and keeping black queen neutralized. Rook e8, black is creating rook e1 threat, deflecting this rook and capturing on h5. Bishop takes c4, b takes c4, rook takes f5. And now yes, rook e1 check won't give black much. This line actually favors white. After knight takes f5, queen g5 check, white has knight e3, and white has great chances of winning the game. In our game, rook takes f5, black answered with queen h4. Both protected the bishop and also created a very nasty rook e1 threat. Knight f3, neutralizing that nasty threat, attacking black queen. Queen h6 check, king d1. A very important move. Otherwise, if a move like king b1, then in this case it's white who is losing, because black has this king f8 move, pinning the bishop and threatening bishop takes f5. And if you capture on g4, then you can step into a checkmate. Don't forget that there is a back rank weakness, and then rook e1, rook d1 checkmate. That's why to queen h6 check, white answered with king d1. White is walking into a pin, but the pinner is pinned himself, Queen g6, and rook takes g4. There it goes, a heavy blow is on the board. At this point, of course, you can't play rook g5, black will simply munch it. That's why at this point white made a very important decision and captured on g4. And seems like this is the only move, this is forced. Otherwise, if a move like rook d5, then bishop takes f3 check is coming. Yeah, black is winning. That's why there it goes, rook takes g4, queen takes g4, rook g5 check. And there it goes, black queen drops, and we are in the end game where the players almost have equal chances. But the thing is that these knights can cooperate greatly and can create nice targets. d5, knight f3, f5, knight d4, f4, not the best continuation, giving up this pawn and centralizing the king as soon as possible is better. Instead we see f4, and as the king is on g8, winning this pawn on d5 becomes playable. Rook d8 check, knight e7 check, king f7, knight c6, rook d5, and now it's time to centralize the king. King e8, king f3, king d7, king takes f4. Quite possibly black played very poorly. I'm not sure, maybe already black was in a serious time trouble. King d6, king e4, rook g5, and the pawn on a7 also drops. Rook a5, knight b5 check, and at this point we have a resignation. Now if you move back your king, for example, on d7, then white can play a3 and then king d5, at some point b4, connect the pawns and convert this into a victory. Or if king c5, keeping the king centralized near the pawn, then in this case white has a very beautiful study like b4 move. If c takes b3, then you are stepping into a fork, and if, I don't know, king takes b4, then this time knight c6 is winning. And that's why, understanding that his position is hopeless after knight b5 check, black resigned. Yeah, that was a very nice game and a pretty accurate one, Yeah, both players were playing excellent chess, and hope that you enjoyed this game greatly. In the end, the chess puzzle for you, where the task is to find the winning line for white. It's white to move, and as usual, we'll wait for your answer in the comment section. Feel free to check out my early uploads as well. We'll see you in my next video. Take care.